Association podcast. My name is Craig Shoup. I'm the executive director here at the Jacksonville Bar Association, and we want to welcome you to this edition of our podcast. We're excited to have Mike Tanner with us. Mike primarily practices in the area of complex litigation, appellate, and election law with a Gunster firm in both Tallahassee and Jacksonville. He's board certified in both civil trial and business litigation. Mike is a longtime member of the Jacksonville Bar Association and is the 73rd president of the Florida Bar. Before we get started, I want to say a thank you to all of our Jacksonville Bar Association sponsors. These sponsors include Ameris Bank, Dex Imaging, Dixon Hughes Goodman, Member Benefits, Mulholland Investigation and Computer Forensics, Orange Legal, a Veritex company, Florida Lawyers Mutual Insurance Company, YFast Networks, Charles Van Consulting, CH Mediation, Ullman Wealth Partners, Diamonds Direct, and Scarlet Group. At this time, we have a quick message from one of our sponsors, Member Benefits. Appreciate Member Benefits and the support of all of our sponsors of the Jacksonville Bar Association. Well, Mike, welcome. We're glad you're with us today.
Thank you, Craig. Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about you growing up, your childhood, and what led you down the path to becoming a lawyer.
Okay. Let me start at the beginning of all that. How I got to Jacksonville. My family is all from the Great Lakes area, from many generations back on both my mother and my father's side. My mother, Michigan. My father's family was from Michigan and Wisconsin. And I was born in Ann Arbor when my folks were both at the University of Michigan there, and we lived in Flint, Michigan for several years. The water, I understand, was very good in those days. But my mother developed some health issues, and she was told that it would be better for her to move to a warmer climate. And so we looked at Arizona, and then we looked at Florida and came down here, and we did a grand tour of Florida in an air-conditioned Chevrolet and ended up in Jacksonville. My mother had a brother who was living here. So that's how we got here to Jacksonville. My father was a dentist and set up his dental practice here. And so I grew up in Jacksonville, have great memories of Jacksonville. It's a very different place now than it was in the 1960s and 1970s and 80s. So that's how I got to be here as a citizen of the First Coast.
So what made you want to become a lawyer?
Well, I was always interested in history and in English, in the humanities. In high school, did a lot of reading of history just outside of the curriculum in school, and I was interested in the American Revolution. It was interesting to me that the founders of this country were all lawyers, and I enjoyed the stories. I really enjoyed in high school, I can remember reading the story about John Adams, but this was before the Revolution, defending the British soldiers who had been accused of murder, I believe, in the Boston Massacre, and his trial of that and his belief that, as despised as those people were at that time, they were entitled to a fair defense. And so those kind of, that made me very interested in the law. And then, and I think it matched my skill set. As I got into high school, I began to believe that that was probably a good career choice for me based on my interests and, as I say, my skill sets. I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed reading, still do. I gravitated that way, and I've told some others that I still remember an English teacher that I had in high school explaining to me, or to the class that I was in, the line from Henry IV in Shakespeare's Henry IV, that first thing we do is we kill all the lawyers. I think that's a line by Dick the Butcher. And of course, most people hear that and they think that's an lawyer kind of statement, it's actually just the reverse. It was a very high compliment to our profession, that if you really want to undermine a society, the first thing you do is undermine the legal profession. And I think that's still true today.
So you've practiced for many years here in Jacksonville and around the state. What's a favorite memory from a case or a trial you've had that you could share with us?
Oh, boy. You know, I know we have limited time here, and our audience has limited patience listening to stories, but you know, every trial is a unique experience. People who try cases will all tell you that. Every trial leaves you with a unique set of memories and a unique set of lessons, and I think there have been so many. I guess I was very fortunate, very blessed to have good mentors that I tried cases with and against, and I always found that, you know, I was better if the lawyers on the other side were better, and so I tried cases against some very good lawyers and learned a lot from them. I think probably one of the earliest cases I can remember, Dana Bradford, who was a mentor of mine and an excellent trial lawyer then and now, who's with the Smith Gambrell firm here in town now. He was a young partner at the Mahoney, Hadlow, and Adams firm, and I was an associate there, and we tried a lot of cases together. And we tried a case representing a young boy who had been injured at a municipal baseball field here in town, and he, you know, we all know if you play baseball or softball, you know, you slide into the bases, or at least they used to. And that dust that they used to mark the baselines, for some reason on that particular time, they were using the wrong kind of dust, and they used, to mark the baselines that day, they'd used a more toxic substance than you're supposed to use. You're supposed to use an inert dust, and this wasn't that, and it got into his eyes and injured his eyes pretty badly. And it was it was to be a life, long debility that he was going to have, and so we ended up in litigation. We represented the boy and his family. We sued the city over that and tried that case, and we got a verdict. And Dana did a fabulous job in that trial. And I always remember that case because we achieved a result for that boy and his family. They got a result, a financial result that enabled them to set up a trust fund for him to provide medically for him for the rest of his life. And I felt like we had done a good service for him. So that memory has always stuck with me. I'll tell you one other trial that I had and a lesson I learned from it. Another trial that Dana and I did together, we were representing there was a dispute over repairs to a long-line fishing boat. And a long-line fishing boat, if you know what that is a fishing boat that fishes off the coast of New England. And did you ever see the movie The Perfect Storm?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the boat that George Clooney was the captain of was a long-line fishing boat. And the way that works, just like it sounds, is they let out this long line with hooks on it, and they bait the hooks. And the line can be 1 mile or 2 miles long, and then they drag the line and the hooks, and fish are caught on the hooks, and they haul it in. Well, we represented a repair yard that had done some repairs on a long-line boat, and the repairs were done here in North Florida for a New England boat. I don't remember why that was, but a dispute arose over that, and we ended up trying the case here in federal court. But I do remember two things I remember about that. One is that most of the witnesses were in New England, and the trial was going to start in the spring. And there was one particular witness that we really needed to talk to, but he was a fisherman, and so most of the time he was out on the ocean. But he was back in port in Maine in January. And so guess who got to go to Maine to take that deposition?
I'm sure you got to go in the snow.
It was, yeah. As I recall, Dana and I flipped a coin, and I lost, but I think had it gone the other way, I probably still would have taken the deposition. But I can remember flying into Bangor, Maine, and driving myself out to the coast. And if you remember that scene in Dr. Zhivago when they're out in Siberia and they're looking out over the bleak, desolate, snow-covered, that's what it looked like. Probably not a good idea for a Florida boy to be driving himself out to the coast of Maine and that. But we got the deposition, got it taken, and then we tried the case. Senior Judge George Young from Orlando came up and tried the case. But the lesson I learned from that, and again, this is why Dana was such a great mentor. One of my witnesses, I remember, was on the witness stand, and the other side was directing him. I was going to be doing the cross, and I was popping up, making a lot of objections. I was a young lawyer at this time. I'd had a few trials, but not that many, and I was making a lot of objections. You know, most of them were being sustained. Some of them weren't, maybe half and half. And when we took a break, the judge took a break, and then during the break, Dana said, you know, a lot of this doesn't really matter. And I mean, we had a longer conversation than that, but that was the gist of it. And the light kind of went off, and I realized, you know, he's right. And so I was making too many objections. And I was making what was really kind of inconsequential in the case seem consequential. And so I didn't make many more objections at all in that trial. So that was a lesson I learned. And but I guess, you know, we all have lots and lots of war stories we can tell, but the one overriding lesson that I learned that I would give to young lawyers is always treat your opposing counsel with respect, because you will see them again. And some of my best friends now and people that I have referred cases to and had referred cases to me are people that I met on the other side of cases that I had and got to know that way. And so that has proved to be a real benefit to me personally to get to know them. And I did so because I think I handled myself professionally. We should always handle ourselves professionally because we're obligated to do that, but there's a personal benefit to it. That's a long answer to your question.
No, that's a great answer, though.
So,
I'm going to say probably coming off of some of that, what you just talked about, what's some information you would think a lawyer new to the practice or a lawyer new to practicing specifically here in the Fourth Circuit should be aware of from a seasoned lawyer as yourself?
Well, kind of going off that last theme on professional conduct in a trial, the Fourth Circuit has always been a very collegial circuit. The folks who try cases here is, we see each other less than we used to, many years ago, just because of the way the practice has evolved. But still, I think there's a collegiality here still in this circuit, and consequently, the person you try a case against this year, you're likely to see again in your career. Now, it's not so much true of lawyers who are coming from outside the circuit and practicing here, but those who are here, you're going to run across people again. And so, it's not only, again, is it our obligation as lawyers to be professional. That's part of the oath we took. But it's good manners, and it's good for you personally and professionally, because the people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis or case-by-case basis are the people that you're going to probably be dealing with for the rest of your career. And it's good to be on good terms with those folks. So I would say that is just kind of a given. And the other thing is our judges here in the Fourth Circuit are very strong on professionalism. Just no doubt about it. I can't think of a single judge that we have now on our bench, and we have an excellent bench here in the Fourth, who isn't strongly supportive of and behind and enforcing of professionalism standards.
Very true.
Yep.
Very, very true. So tell us about your involvement with the Jacksonville Bar Association and why you think it's important for lawyers to be part of the Jacksonville Bar.
I think it's very important for folks to be a member of their local voluntary bar, and I give this message all over the state when I talk to lawyers elsewhere in Florida. And it's certainly true here in Jacksonville. Personally, I joined the Jacksonville Bar pretty early on when I came here, and I did so just to meet people. I was in a small firm at first here in Jacksonville, and I came from UF Law School, and some of my classmates were here, but there were a lot of people that I met through the Jacksonville Bar that I would not have met here locally otherwise. and then I met. That was an opportunity to meet the judges. It was really in those days the best way and the only way to meet most of the judges. And the judges then, as they are now, were very active and supportive in bar association functions. So I would say, just, as a young lawyer, get plugged into the bar so that you kind of meet folks. It'll help you network. You'll learn who to go to for mentoring. If you've got a particular kind of case, you'll hopefully meet people that practice in that area. And of course, now the Jacksonville Bar has really a lot more to offer than it did way back when. We have the sections and the young lawyers section and all the different activities there. And so I think there's something there for everybody. It doesn't matter what your practice area is, what your interest is. There's something for you in the Jacksonville Bar. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer to do that. I'm sure you would agree with that.
I 100% agree on that.
I'm sure I would get no argument from you out of that.
No argument from us or anyone here at the bar on that.
Yeah.
We always strive to find a way to plug somebody in whatever way they want to plug in, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us, this is a question we're asking all of our candidates.
Okay.
What are some of your favorite restaurants to go to with your family here in Jacksonville?
Oh, okay.
And what are some that you enjoy if you're going to take a client out for a meal?
Okay. Well, those are different.
Those are different.
Okay. Excuse me. Yeah, those are going to be different. If I'm going out to dinner, if we're going out to dinner with our kids and grandkids, they love the Cheesecake Factory at the town center. Pretty much any place at the town center it would be fine with them. My daughter and son-in-law my older daughter and son-in-law like J. Alexander's or La Cantina. The grandkids, as I said, love Cheesecake Factory. Dawn and I prefer, our favorite place are places at the beach. We like the Palm Valley Fish Camp or Lulu's, which is right next door. A little bit of a more low-key environment there. But depending on the client, unless it's a client that I know really well, I probably wouldn't take them to those places. If it's a client coming in from out of town, it's hard to beat the River Club. I mean, it just is because of the convenience if somebody's staying downtown, but the view is spectacular. You get a view of downtown Jacksonville, and it's a great venue, and they do a great service up there. So those would be my choices.
Those are all great choices, for sure.
Yeah, sure.
So I would say if somebody wants to reach out to you, I know you didn't talk about this, but you've got a great presentation on professionalism that you've done for many bar associations over the years. What's the best way to get a hold of you to maybe talk to you about if they have a professionalism question or want to chat about that or any of those, or anything really?
Well, I get email, and I do respond to them. I can't promise that I'll respond to it, right away, because I get a lot of email these days. But email me, if you've got an outreach or a question. It's mtanner@gunster.com, and I will. I'll get back to you eventually on that, and I welcome those kind of questions. Thank you for giving me a shout out on the professionalism program. I'm going to be giving that here to the Federal Bar Association in Jacksonville, the Jax Federal Bar Association, that they're meeting. I think it's on the 21st of this month. So, but anyway, yes, by all means, email me and I'll reach out.
Well, we thank you, Mike, for being with us today. It's been a great time having a great conversation, hearing some of the stories from the trials, hearing about you growing up. Anything you want to leave with our viewers as we close up here?
I would say this, at the Florida Bar, we have a number of initiatives this year, and professionalism is one of them, and that's a big part of what we're focusing on this year. And we've got a special committee that's been appointed to deal with professionalism issues. Christine Michelle, who is the immediate past president of the Perkins Bar Association, is on that committee, and I'm very excited about their work. We're looking for them to make some recommendations to the Board of Governors and then to the Supreme Court for at the end of this year on some maybe major rule changes that we can make to move the needle on professionalism. So watch for that.
That's great. Everybody keep a look at floridabar.org and all of their social media content pages to be able to find out where that all that's going to be and all the information going on for sure.
Yep.
So, well, thank you, Mike. We appreciate
Thank you, Craig. It's always great to see you. I appreciate this opportunity, and look forward to seeing you soon.
We will see you soon for sure. Stay tuned for our next episode coming soon. Have a great day.